Hello, 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 10 hellos, and welcome to. Man, it's been so long since I recorded an episode, I almost forgot the name of the podcast. The name of the podcast is Theme Park School, a themed experience educational podcast. I didn't forget. It's muscle memory at this point. I've awoken from my long winter's nap here for episode 7 of the podcast. And today, we're going to be talking, we're going back to the UCF well, because it's what I know. It's what I love, unfortunately. But if we're in the themed entertainment, the theme park capital of the world, Orlando, what's the biggest school? UCF. So it warrants conversation, in my opinion. But you know what? I'm so excited because it's rare that someone from my past can come on. Someone I haven't met in the past couple of years. Someone I've known for years and years. I think 3 or 4 or 5, maybe even years. And that's Chris Elkins. We got Chris Elkins here today. Chris.
Hey. I was waiting for like the thunderous applause or something.
Wait, hold up.
Okay. Oh.
I have the soundboard that I don't even use because it's like kind of gimmicky, but it's funny too sometimes. It's funny to throw that out. So Chris, you have spent even more time at the Rosen College of Hospitality Management than I have. You're now in your second degree, but we'll talk about all that stuff tonight. But before that, why don't you tell the people about yourself a little bit, Chris Elkins?
All right. So, hey, my name is Chris, and I actually came to Florida when I was just 18 years old. I started on the Disney College program in entertainment, which was a wild ride. I bought a one-way plane ticket and packed 2 bags, and down I came. I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, if I had to do that again, I don't even know if I would do that now. Like, who books a one-way ticket and just flies to somewhere they don't know and they don't know anyone and whatever. But that's Disney, and so I was here. I started in entertainment. I was able to do parades and shows for entertainment at Disney for a long time. And then I went back to Virginia, finished my associate's degree. Wasn't finished with Disney yet, and as all people do, they just sort of come back again and again. So I was like, oh, let's get back to Florida. I have my associates. I made my dad happy. He said, get a degree. I said, 2-year degree, bye. So I was down to Florida, back in entertainment, and I just got offered full-time, which is a really hard thing to do. And I auditioned for a cruise line, and literally like the next week I got offered a full-time cruise line gig. And so I was full-time for a month. I took a Royal Caribbean contract and went on Royal for a contract right when I turned 21. That was a wild time. I'd never been on it before. And then to be like, oh, cool, now you have to live on one for 7 months. Like, I didn't even know what to expect, but it had to be good because I accepted it. So cool. Did entertainment with them for a while and then came back to Florida. Got back into with Disney and started doing Universal. I did Horror Nights for a while. I started picking up production gigs around the side, and then I was in the talks to maybe let's do entertainment management. Let's do all this stuff at Disney and let's start moving up because maybe not going to be as young and as sprightly as those 18-year-olds coming down on a one-way ticket. So I decided to go back to school. And that's, Q Rosen. That's where I went back, and the Rosen College of Hospitality Management just started their entertainment management program. So I graduated with that. So yeah, it's totally entertainment-based, hospitality-based. Rosen was definitely, a pivotal point in getting that bachelor's degree, making my dad happy, getting the bachelor's degree. I mean, it was good because, I have a bachelor's degree. It's always like the check mark on the, do you have a bachelor's or not? Check yes or no. Like, it's just so many things that I was getting missed on because I didn't have the bachelor's degree that they wanted. So whatever. So I got it. Cool. I did a little dabble in VIP tours, and that was really fun at Disney. Took around some really, really awesome people. And then transitioned into guest relations at Magic Kingdom, which is the mothership. my goodness, I can tell you stories and stories and stories about guest relations, but I digress. So then transitioned back into entertainment because last March hit and everything went awry,
Mhm.
and I was stuck. Like I was just kind of like, oh, what do I do? Like I always want to be busy. I want to be working. I want to be booked, and I was stuck at home. And so then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to school. I'm gonna get my master's. I'm gonna continue growing while there's nothing else going on. So now I'm back at Rosen in the
Yeah.
hospitality and tourism master's program. So there's Rosen again for you. But ended up leaving Disney actually a few months ago, just because I had an opportunity to work with a little company called Tesla. Um, I say little, but it really is still a startup company. Like they're still very
Technically.
new, technically so new. And yeah, so I actually got a really cool opportunity to work with them. So now I'm at Tesla, but I still have so much love for Disney and entertainment, and I hope to be back very soon.
Yeah.
Um, so that's a, a life of Chris Elkins right there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And yeah, I think it's something we talked about in maybe the first episode of this podcast. Yeah, you haven't listened to it. I don't care. With
Oh,
another performer friend of mine. People like you try to get away, and it always
it happens every
screws you.
time. Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go. I'm moving back home. Everything's good," and then you're like, "Oh man, I think I'm gonna come back."
Yeah.
And then you feel like, "Oh, hey, I'm coming back." So, like, we would always, like, sort of joke about people, like, when they had, like, going away parties, we're
Mm-hmm.
like, "How much do they come back?" You know?
So a thing that we have in common is uh, so I'm currently inaugurating the first class of the themed experience MFA program at UCF. You inaugurated the entertainment management Bachelor of Science at
I did.
Rosen. So what was that
I
like?
did. Wow.
Challenges, pros, cons? Because definitely it's a challenge, and it's kind of an insurmountable obstacle sometimes because
Yeah.
there's no precedent.
Correct.
You are
Correct.
literally a guinea pig.
We were literally getting picked. So, this is what happened. I was kind of like, all right, I need to get a bachelor's. Let's get in something fun that I know a lot about.
Yeah.
So it's going to be chill. Perfect. I see this entertainment management program come up. I'm like, I can do that. I literally have been doing that for the past, 8-ish years at that point,
Hmm.
7-ish years. I don't know, whatever. So I was like, cool, let's do that. I enroll, I get in. I'm like, oh, I got in. This is so good, whatever. And when I get to the first day of class, they're like, hey, we accepted a lot more than probably what we should have because it was really popular. And like, everyone just sort of take classes and sort of the prereqs don't matter right now, and just like get as many classes in as you can as quickly as possible. And I was just like, okay, this is how this is going to work. So I was a little shaken from the get-go. It was a lot of like, yeah, just growing pains of
Hmm.
having way too many students and not enough teachers and not having prereqs offered in the right order, and then just it's just that startup that there's no precedent,
Yeah.
exactly what you said. um so I was in these intro classes, and I was so mad. I was so mad because I get into these classes of kids who know nothing. And literally, I am banging my head against the wall, so frustrated that I'm in this class that I think is foolish and worthless. But I finally get to the point, I call my dad, and I'm like, "This is stupid." I'm like, "I am not gonna be in this class that I already know about. Like, this is so ridiculous. Why don't these kids know anything? This is so stupid. I'm not wasting my time." And my dad's like, "No, no, 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 no." He's like, "Wait a second." He's like, "You are the one that went out of order. I mean, not out of order, but you are the one that have the experience,
Right.
and they came up at 18 years old and are going into college, which is the path, which is exactly correct.
Hmm.
You can't be mad at them for not knowing." And I was like, "Ah, I guess." He's like, "So, instead of learning the material, which you obviously know, you're gonna learn the other skills. You're gonna learn how to build a group.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn motivate your team. You're gonna learn how to get the best results and get there and with the whole group and encourage people along the way, and you're gonna get those skills, and that's what you're gonna learn in school. And after that moment, I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Like, I was like, "Alright, I guess I'll stay in school. I guess this will be fine." But it took that moment for me to be like, "What is going on, and why are these kids so stupid?" And my dad's like, "No, no, no, it's you that have actually you've done a little different path, which is fine, but they aren't supposed to know that, and they don't have to know that, and it has to be okay." So, that was my little entry into Rosen.
Yeah. I love that.
Then
I love what your dad told you. That's awesome.
I mean, that's it though, and that's what I needed was someone to be like, "Listen a second, like, hang
Yeah.
on," just like a little shake. And that's what I needed. So I almost left school then one time. Okay, so that's number 1. I almost walked out of Rosen, at least 2 or 3 times, like, literally turned out, said, "Screw you, take all the tuition, I don't even want it back, I'm leaving." That was number 1.
I think every UCF student has had a point where they said, "I'm done. I'm not going to
Yeah,
UCF."
yeah.
It's
That was
for
number
me,
1.
it's when I couldn't find a parking spot on the main campus and I'm like, I want to quit school.
Oh,
The solution was to switch majors and go to Rosen where there's a lot of parking.
okay, see, there you go, okay. Yeah, parking at Rosen is really good, just write that down. If you're
Yeah,
going to Rosen,
plenty of parking.
parking is 2 way up,
Short
okay.
walk.
Um Yeah, exactly. Okay, so number 1, no, I was mad at the program because the kids were stupid. I almost left. Number 2, I was mad about the hospitality or the entertainment management program required you to do internships.
Yeah.
Mind you, I am a very grown man who has done said internship, actually did the college program, actually have done internships. I've worked with cruise lines, I've worked with, Universal, I've done gigs. I understand the industry, I get it. And they told me that I have to get another job.
Mhm.
And well, at that point, I thought it was another job. They said I have to get a job that's paid, and I have to
Right.
work for I think 20 hours a week, which I understand because if you're working in the industry, a lot of the work is unpaid. It is difficult to find paid work, but when you are paid, you are treated a little bit differently.
Mhm.
So I do respect that, and I do agree with that. It's just difficult because in an industry that is so, like, volunteer based and
Oh yeah.
so driven on, like, experience labor, like, they really capitalize on, "Oh, you're getting experience." Um, it's so hard to find that, and I almost left that day when they told me I had to have an intern 3 internships, during my time at Rosen, so I almost left. I found out that my job at Disney would qualify, and they were super helpful, and then I was like, "Okay, okay, okay, I guess I'll stay, I guess I'll stay." Alright,
But
cool.
it's not
So
phrased that way, you know?
yeah.
It's
Correct. They said, "You have to pick up a job, and it's, 20 hours," and I'm like, "I already work 40 hours at Disney, and I'm going to school full-time in
Yeah.
person." Mind you, no classes of entertainment management were online, 0.
Mm.
I had to go in person to every single class in addition to working full-time at Disney.
Mhm.
There is no possible way that I could work another 20 hours, and I literally almost left that day. We spun it around. I was okay. I got a little better, and I realized Disney counts, and we were a little bit happier. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 3 that I almost left was
3
this.
times.
This was a really big one. So number 3, they the way that they had laid stuff out was very, you have to take things in order, and for the very beginning, they didn't hold people to that order,
Mhm.
which was cool. And I could take things and whatever. Well, in semester, I think 2 or 3, I don't really remember, they decided now you've had enough time and you have to stick to the order, and we're not making any accommodations. And so I said, "Awesome." And I looked and there was things, I needed an order and I had to take 1, 2, and 3. I think I had to take 3 more classes and the prereq wasn't offered. And I was like, "Cool. Well, if you don't offer this prereq, I literally will be here for 3 more semesters
Mm.
taking this class," and I almost left again because they wouldn't let me take the classes at the same time. But we ended up working that out or they ended up dropping classes. The curriculum changed so many times while I was there, so,
Yeah.
like, that was helpful, but I almost left, because just the getting into classes was the most difficult part of
Mm-hmm.
Rosen. And arranging, not just getting into classes, but like making sure your schedule works, making sure that the prereqs are there, that you're going order, that whatever. That is the most difficult part. And I mean, there were advisors that were really helpful. Like Vanessa was really awesome, and I love her so much, and she was so great. But it's not no fault of hers, but like everything kept changing so frequently, and there was
Mm-hmm.
no nice pipeline of information. So actually, when I was there, I started a really cool Facebook group that we could just share information, because at some point we were just like, you know what? I keep getting like people screaming like, "Hey, this class just got canceled," or "Hey, this class doesn't exist anymore." And we were just sharing it through the halls. And so I was like, you know what? I'll just make this group. Be a part of this group if you want to graduate. That's literally how I pushed it. I was like, if you want to graduate, get in this group, because if not, you're not going to know what's going on. So it's entertainment management at Rosen. If you want to join, that's cool. I still post really cool jobs and stuff. So
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, you can join too. But that was sort of like our lifeline, just to say like, hey, this class is the prereq for this, or hey, they're approving this class to work instead of this class, or hey, you know that one class that's only offered on main campus on odd springs, which was something ridiculous. Yeah, they're now offering it in fall, so no, don't stress, and everyone's stay in the program. Like literally, that's what it came down to. It was
Yeah.
just, but yeah, no, growing pains, a lot of growing pains. My joke at the time was like, it's gonna be great in 5 years.
Yeah.
It is so it's the professors are great. I mean, again, like this is the theme park capital of the world. This is the entertainment. This is the most visited location in the US. Like,
The world? Maybe
is it the
two?
world?
It's top
I
five.
know
It's either
okay,
Eiffel Tower or here.
but
Or at least top
but
five.
to
Okay.
okay, so there you go. But like to be such a visited area, and to have so much like strength in, theme parks and people that are here to teach, like it is an incredible location, incredible professors. It's just the growing pains and
Yeah.
like the business of school.
Yeah.
And in 5 years, that I know that will get worked out, and
Yeah.
I know that it will be great.
Yeah.
So like we're almost at that 5 year point though. So like kind of get it together. But it's gonna be so good, and I'm so excited to see, what happens in the future.
Yeah, because it's such a prestige school. I think it constantly rated, if not the best hospitality school in the world.
Oh yeah,
Top
like
again, top
in the
five.
top three within, like in the past 10 years, I think it's constantly been within the top three.
Yeah.
So like it obviously has a name for itself, and it obviously has done that. So again, it has done hospitality well for so long, and I think this is sort of a sidestep to what it's been doing. And again, just growing pains and sort of not really understanding the whole picture of getting into classes and getting
Mhm.
things scheduled and getting professors and getting locations and having a classroom for the people to actually sit in. Like, I mean, it's just that's where it came to like a breaking point a few times.
Yeah.
But within 5 years, in 5 years, it'll be great. And I think we're really close. So
Yeah. And it kind of revolves back to something they tell you in like high school, like when you're applying for colleges, is like, oh, like, do you want to go to a big school because like things like this tend to happen, or do you want to go to a smaller private school where it's a little more compact? So obviously UCF being 65,000
the
undergraduate
biggest.
plus, I think it's at 70,000 by this point, undergraduate students.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is bound to happen. But you know what? It works out. You graduate. I graduated. Chris graduated.
Yay, we graduated.
And then we go back
Oh
for
my
the second degree.
so good. I mean, don't tell anyone, but we bought our own cords for our entertainment management program. We graduated cords, and so we bought them and we just walked with them because we were so happy. And it was really good. I'm really proud of that.
So aside from that, aside from the growing pains, and at the end of the day, it is a good feeling genuinely to say,
Oh yeah,
I was first. I was the first one in there. So aside from
yeah.
those growing pains and those like early operational issues, do you have any highlights from your time in the entertainment management program? Any faculty members that stand out? Because Rosen is kind of known for pulling in kind of prestige
Yeah.
adjunct faculty members to teach one class after their full-time job
Yeah,
during the day and that kind of stuff.
But that's exactly what I wanted. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I can do online classes, But to do online classes is just that. I sit and I do it on my own, and I'm at my house, and I don't really get to meet or,
Yeah.
interact with students or interact with the professor. So I was actually really excited that the entertainment management class was in person
Mm-hmm.
so that I could actually go and like meet the professor and like have meaningful connections with students. And I really appreciated all that. I mean, the amount of knowledge that the professors have and the backgrounds and histories that they all have are astounding.
Yeah.
And to just meet them through the internet, I think is kind of it's a not a waste because I'm in an online program now, but like
Yeah, me
it's
too.
just not as I mean, okay, whatever. Uh you do what you have to do. But to be there and to actually meet them and to like bond and to hear
Yeah.
their backgrounds and to get those connections, like there were people that had connections that I didn't even know. Like you don't even know where these people have been, and they've probably worked at your dream job, and all you have to do is ask, and they would love to introduce you or to bring
Yes.
people. So again, people would come in and guest lecture all the time. A lot of like Rosen is like guest lecturer because
Mm-hmm.
it is so like people driven and so every entertainment aspect is sort of like new and each person has their own I don't know way to experience it and they share that differently and so they really encourage people to come by and do those guest lectures and that was
Yeah.
so fun is to be in those rooms and get to like oh my gosh they worked for this awesome company that I really wanted to work for that's so cool or just something you couldn't get online.
Yeah.
uh, Again, like, the advisors were really awesome and helpful when things would change.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the students were excited to be there. I
Oh
think
yeah.
it's a different
Huge
yeah,
difference. Oh my
yeah.
God. Forget about it. It's
It
one of the best things about
it's
Rosen.
not like people that are there on their their parents' dime or on
Yeah.
I mean, they are there because they wanna be
Yeah.
there. This is a new program, it's exciting, they're excited about it, and, like, the group projects and stuff that we would do are actually exciting, and you could actually work with people that are passionate about this,
Yeah.
and that was really helpful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, I'm looking over your curriculum here, and it's important stuff. It's stuff that I think gets left
Oh,
out a lot, like
it's probably changed,
law.
like, 3 times. I don't know all the changes anymore. I used to literally bring, like, book and just mark them off,
Yeah.
like, when classes would be deleted or eliminated and whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There's infamous Rosen electives that like everybody at some point ends up doing. You always get the one cooking class. You always get the wine tasting.
Cooking?
You never did a
You did
cooking
that?
class? I did a cooking class.
No.
So I'll talk about that in a second. I was in the hospitality management program, so
Cooking?
yes, that was
Ah,
involved in there.
okay.
But yeah, and suffice to say, and I know you told me before we started that you never met him, but like the man who started this entertainment management program is a Disney legend, Ron Logan.
Like, I've
So
actually
talk about
seen his
prestige.
like, handprints in the legends at
I
Disneyland, so
saw that too
at the
at the
studio,
studio.
and
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, "Oh, hey, he created my program." Like, I actually did
I know.
shows that he so
It's
that was
cool.
really cool.
Yeah, it's cool to
Yeah.
someone who he didn't work with Walt Disney, but he was around. Like he was there. He was in the park at the same time. He was like
That's
Walt
cool.
adjacent.
Walt adjacent. Yeah, yeah, I'll take that.
Which is cool. It's awesome. There's not that many people
Yeah.
left walking around, and he's teaching classes still. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's that. That's cool. And I'll ask you about your. Yeah, we can talk about that first. So you loved it so much you had to come back apparently, and part of it is another incentive that you had, but you're still sticking with it anyway after that. But tell me about the decision that you made. You talked about it a little bit. The decision you made to go back and get your master's degree from the same school, and what that's been like this whole time.
Um, well, I
Hospitality and tourism management, master of science, correct?
yes. So that yeah, correct. Um, I was living my best life. I was a tour guide. I was in the running to be a entertainment manager at Disney. I was doing interviews and making it through rounds and killing it. And I was in the running to be a full-time VIP tour guide, which is great. And so I was like, you know what? I'm probably not going to make my entertainment management rounds this year, but I'll make entertainment manager next year, but I'll be a full-time tour guide and everything's going to be good. And I'm going to get a house and a dog and a Tesla, and it's going to be so great. And I'm so happy. So then March hit, and I was like, okay, now what? Again, like I like to be busy. So my sort of catchphrase is I like to be very manageably stressed at all times.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like at the point of breaking is when I thrive the best.
Sure.
And I really appreciate, like, I mean, just constant moving and hustle and bustle, and that's what I live for. So to like sit at home and do nothing for months was really unfortunate. I mean, like obviously we had to, but like I was so like uh, in a like it's like I can't get out of the box. Like so I was like, what can I possibly do? I was like, you know what, I'll just go back to school.
Yeah.
So I enrolled in, I was sort of thinking about it before, but then I was like, you know, I need to make sure my school schedule is going to work with my work schedule. And that's always a hassle, obviously, because Disney, I mean, Disney's great, but like they don't really work with you on schedules and it's really hard to get everything set up. And VIP tours, they don't shift trade at all. So
Right.
there's no possibility to even get those days accommodated. So I was sort of on the fence. I was like, you know, if I make a full-time VIP tour jump, I'm probably not going to go to school because I don't have the availability that I know I can be off on these days and take these classes. Cool. But obviously since all this happened, I had all this time. So I did enroll back into school. Just to stay busy, honestly.
Yeah.
Not that I wanted a master's.
You're not alone there, by the way. I know so many people who are like, yep, time to go back to school. Pandemic.
Yeah.
I'm going back.
I
master's degree.
know what to do. So I started reaching out to some friends, and they were talking about, you know, teaching and stuff and how schools will still running. And I found out schools are pretty essential.
Yeah.
And I can't teach without a master's.
Correct.
And so I said, I'm just going to get a master's. And if something like this happens again, I can get a teaching job and be pretty essential and teach.
Right.
So that was like in the back of my head that like, if I really needed to, at the end of this, I can be a teacher, an adjunct. I mean, like, you know, if I needed to, or if I wanted to, like, in addition to working in the industry that I'm in, but like, it's not an option unless you have a master's. So that also was a little bit of factor into it, but, no, it was definitely the right time to get in. I took way too many classes. Again, very manageably stressed at all times. So my first semester, I took, I think, 3 or 4 classes. My second semester, I took like 3 or 4. I don't know. I don't remember. Fall, I took 5 classes. And I'm going to finish spring with 3 classes. So I'll finish my 2-year program in less than a year. Boom. So it's just, again, very, very manageably stressed at all times. So that's how we're going to do that, and I will graduate in the spring, and that's really cool. So
and you're already researching the PhD option.
I don't know. I mean, my grandma's like telling me to do that. She's like, when you're going to be a doctor? Oh, when's your doctorate coming? And I'm like, hang on a second, like, let me get through this first. No, but it's great. I mean, it was definitely to keep me busy to start with, but now I'm really happy to be back and to be in my last semester. It's very odd. Like, have we been at this a year? Like, I'm so confused. I think it was helpful to have a little bit more online be mainstream, because without that, I don't think I'd be able to. So now that I transitioned to Tesla, another of those like really odd working schedules and not really shift tradable.
Sure.
But all of this is online, and I think a lot of it going forward is like, it's very mainstream to work from home or to do online classes, or like, you know, from before it was kind of like, oh, you work from home, like, oh, like, but now it's like,
that's what everybody does.
Like, I work from home. Oh, you're in online school. It's fine. Like, everything's fine. So that was sort of helpful. But yeah,
I think too, like this program specifically has always been like, you could always do it online just because people have jobs all the time. Like hospitality jobs are crazy.
Yeah. Correct, and they know that, and that's another thing about Rosen is they understand your crazy work schedules because there's no classes on Friday,
Right.
and there's no classes like, they understand. They have night classes for people who need to take a class,
Mhm.
they work, through the week and they need to just take something at night. They're really accommodating in that aspect of, understanding because they work in the industry as well.
Right.
Most of the professors are working in addition to teaching, and again, like, that's what I sorta wanna do, so.
Yeah. So, any highlights from this program so far? We have one highlight, well, a mutual highlight that we can talk about in a little bit.
We do have a mutual
But
highlight.
aside from that, anything jumping out to you?
Um,
And you're not doing a thesis, are you? That's the difference between
no.
yeah. I'm about to start my thesis year here
Oof,
soon.
I mean, good luck. I don't even know how that works, so I said, "I'm not gonna try to figure it out. I'm okay, thank you." Um, no, I it's just it's definitely a lot harder to do group projects and stuff online,
Yeah.
but there's a lot more, um, I don't know, like, we're going through actually, my class right now that I still have homework to do, is talking about, opportunities for, um dang it, I forgot the right word. It's like, something's gonna happen, not crime prevention. What is it? Something an opportunity prevention or,
Yeah.
uh, like catastrophic events and stuff, and they're saying like, you know
Preventative, maybe something.
yeah, so, like, I'm in my capstone class, and we're
Yeah.
talking about, like, put in your, what if scenario and put in your, what if this happens and
Uh-huh.
what do you do? But, like, now we are living that.
Yeah.
So
We're in a what if.
and every day regulations change. So, like, every day there's something that's like, "Oh, now you can't do this," or "Now you
Right.
can do this," or "Now you can't fly here, and if you walk over here," like, it's just very I mean, school even in itself has changed basically on how they're teaching because of these regulations and because of, you know, s that. Uh, it's a wild time, but I mean, it's a good thing to have now, especially when people are in this period of like no live entertainment growth and no
Yeah.
um so it's gonna suck for a while. I mean, that's how I made my transition back like out of Disney. Like I've been with Disney my whole life. I never saw myself leaving Disney ever. And when I was looking for jobs, I would obviously look on the Disney my careers tab and like look
Mhm.
at all the Disney stuff and
Every day.
whatever, like see like, maybe I'll do this or production here or entertainment here, whatever, whatever. Cool. But like everything shut down.
Yeah.
And I said, it's gonna get really bad. And I actually left in the end of September before fiscal in October.
Mhm.
And man, it got so bad. And I knew it was gonna be bad, but I didn't know how bad. Um, But it's just like people who are in this business, you have to be so resilient and have to you have to work with what's given you and you have to do a pivot if you need to. So it's like it's dealing with what you're given. So right now, I'm at Tesla. Could I be at a hotel doing front desk? Absolutely. Could I be, there are other jobs that I could be doing, but I knew I wouldn't be getting any additional skills and I wouldn't be growing, and so I didn't accept those only because I have already done that. So, I think especially when entertainment right now is sort of really I mean, it's we'll say on the upward trend, things are starting to come back, but just don't be so like stuck on Disney. I hate to say it, but like if you need to do a side step and get experience and do something else in this time, I'm going to tell you it's okay. And to get that experience and then come back to Disney makes you even more strong. And it shows them that during this time, you didn't just chill and wait for something to change, that you took it upon yourself to continue moving forward. So you kept growing and kept developing. So then you can come back in 2 years and say, hey, look what I did. Now that this is coming back, this is what I can do for you and hire me. And I had to just it was tough to leave Disney, but, like, just being on a constant, like, improvement and I mean, with school, like, when there wasn't anything to do, everyone was sort of defaulting to school, but that's what you do. You have to just continue growing instead of sitting and hoping things change.
Yeah. It's so I do a lot of work with the Themed Entertainment Association, the TEA, as some people may know it. And the summer of 2020, the pandemic summer, I guess. Obviously, Imagineering, clean house. Universal, cleaned house. We're not building theme parks anymore for the foreseeable future, although things are starting to come back. A lot of the virtual events and the meetings that we were doing and the talks and everything were so much of do what you need to do to put food on the table. If you can get a job in the industry that has relatable skills, even better. But right now, yeah, like you said, just do something. Don't have an empty spot in your resume. Go get a job at McDonald's. Go get a job at Tesla. That's not a bad job. It's not a bad pandemic job to get, by the way.
So, but here's my thing. But you have to know how to spin it. It's all about the pivot.
Yeah.
But when you come back, you have to understand those transferable skills that you can then relate to your next job. So I have an entertainment background. I have high clientele with my VIP tours. I've solved guest issues with guest relations. And now I'm getting sales experience. So I'm dealing with Tesla. Oh, I'm dealing with high clientele. Oh, I'm solving guest problems because I have to deal with people coming in with, issues of their vehicle or their car is delayed. And I have sales quotas and I have goals to hit and my KPIs. And so now I'm taking that and spinning it and being like, hey, I have an entertainment background. I have all this VIP, high clientele, and now I have sales experience. Now I want to come back to Disney and book those gigs and be that convention manager, that entertainment manager that does this, because again, it's the pivot, it's the spin. Would I have ever been able to go straight from performing to entertainment producer? Absolutely not, because I was missing the management and the skills of sales and things that I wouldn't have any sort of skill set for.
Yeah.
And that's the pivot and that's the spin. And I mean, there is a spin for every job. So I mean, if you're listening to this, don't think you have to work at Tesla or work at, a crazy company, because you can spin whatever you're doing. It's just you have to know how to spin it.
Right.
I mean, we can talk a lot about resumes and stuff if you want to. We'll do that later. But like,
it's another episode.
Catering your resume to every single post. But in addition to that, don't sell yourself short of the skills that you have because you're not in a role that you think you should be in. It's the spin that will get you that opportunity, because it's how you view it and how that person should view it. It's selling yourself. It's what it comes down to. It is you selling yourself, saying this role relates to this and I'll show you how, and hire me.
Yeah.
And that's what everyone is doing now. I mean, you have to. I mean, if you have an awesome job that you're able to continue with in entertainment, like, awesome. So happy for you, genuinely happy. Good job. But those that aren't, don't sell yourself short and think that I have to work at this, specific place, or I have to get a job that is this to make it work.
Yeah. That's why I brought you here, because you're maybe a master of selling yourself. So
I do. Listen, but you have to be. If you're not, you are your only advocate. No one else is going to fight for you other than you.
Oh, yeah.
And if you aren't in there fighting, what do you expect if you go in there and you're like, oh, I sort of worked here and then I started selling cars.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, at Tesla, I sell cars. How does that relate to entertainment? No. I'm not even going to tell you that I sell cars, because what I do in Tesla, I'm dealing with high clientele. I have the sales experience because I have to deal with KPIs and I have to hit goals and I have to do all this stuff. I'm under pressure. I mean, selling cars is, again, selling yourself short. It's the spin. It's the pivot. I mean, I do sell cars, but, it's fine. If you want to buy a car, let me know. Here's my shameless plug. All right. Bye.
I don't think they need the publicity. I think Tesla's good. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fine.
Awesome. So real quick, let's talk about that mutual highlight. Let's talk about
mutual highlight.
Yeah. So like you said, you kind of, in the back of your head, you had one reason for joining this master's program. But in the back of your head, it's kind of, teaching is an option for me. And I entered my program the exact same way. And the resource that UCF offers for people who are thinking to make that transition is a class called Preparing Tomorrow's Faculty. And we met every Friday last semester and learned, classroom management, teaching styles and skills. And I was so glad to have Chris in that class, because even just as a humanities representative, I guess, it was tough because it was a lot of STEM. It was mostly STEM, and explaining kind of how our two programs specifically pull so much from adjunct teaching. Yeah. Just because they need people with that industry experience. You can't there are people who are like academic experts of these subjects, but for the most part, it's people who are doing it during the day and then they come at night and teach a class. So there was a big disconnect there. So I was glad to have Chris as like kind of my partner in crime on that front.
I almost left. So like of all the classes to almost leave, I almost left that class as well.
Because it was a no credit class.
I almost left my 0 credit class, but because I was under the impression that it would be an adjunct. Okay, so let's rewind a bit. This is not a Rosen specific class.
No, it's UCF.
This is a UCF class. So I have only been in Rosen, very hospitality, entertainment, understanding, of all these realms driven classes. And so to go to a UCF class, which I'd never been in my life, and to see people that are like a computer major, I don't know, like these people that I'd never interacted with ever before and that I didn't know sort of how to vibe with because they don't really understand our realm, I did almost leave the class because this, I think at the beginning, was very geared to those professors who are full-time professors who are going to be teaching.
Yeah, lifers, like academic lifers.
Which I love teachers and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But again, like what Carson is saying, like in this industry, it's not very common that would ever be the case because people have to be involved in the industry and they also teach classes. So I came into it under that assumption that this would be for people who want to teach and I want to teach. So let me be in this class. And then I get in there and they're like, oh, you have to do a syllabus for a very generic 100 class because that's what's going to get you work. And I get it. And I understood, but I was mad. I was so mad. Because I was like, this is not what I would be teaching. If I'm going to teach an adjunct class, it's not going to be in 100. Welcome to Rosen.
Specialist.
No offense. But that's not what I would leave my full-time entertainment industry gig to come in and do right off of the bat. I was upset. So we sort of butted heads a bit. I mean, the whole class was sort of on board because that's what they know. And then the people like Carson and I, and maybe a few others who sort of came from this very hospitality adjunct driven landscape, we sort of said no. But no, we said no, and this is why.
Yeah.
So it's not saying this is stupid, I hate it, I'm not doing it.
Right. Which you can't do. Oh man. I hear a lot of it.
And people get people get mad and they just say how stupid it is and they don't give any sort of options, or you have to give them an opportunity to save face and whatever. But it's, let me spin this again. It's a spin. Let me spin this in a way so that you understand. Like this is not really how hospitality works. In this industry, there are very specific genres of classes that will never be taught because those professors are in the industry and they don't have the time to come in and teach full time. With that being said, like I listed off like 6 or 8 different entertainment classes that are quote offered at Rosen,
right?
But have never ever been offered because they don't have the skill set, or they don't have a professor with the skill set to actually teach the class,
right?
And that was why I started to be in this. That's why I wanted to be in this class, is because I want to teach those niche classes
Yeah.
that no one else has the background to teach, and I'll do that as an adjunct.
And what was that class
And
specifically?
so the class was from Shakespeare to RuPaul,
Yeah.
dragged through the ages, dragged through the years. I don't know exactly what
A
it's called.
drag
It is
class, though.
it is a class at UCF, specifically at Rosen, that I've never seen taught, but I would love to be in. And there's so many electives that are like this as well. It's
Yeah.
there's a one that's called That's Entertainment,
Mhm.
which is circus and Las Vegas.
It was like theme
and
parks
like,
too.
yeah. So like these really specific classes that are, really fun electives that had never been taught before, that I
Right.
was really drawn to. And when I'm a student, I want to take fun classes that I'd never have the opportunity to take anywhere else, and I was never able
Exactly.
to. So I was like, that's what I want to teach. Let me write a syllabus for that. And he let me. It was really weird. He was like, you know what? You're right. Like, that's right. And you can write that. And I was like, cool. So, I mean, it was a learning experience for all of us. Again, a UCF class I'd never been in, and I didn't know that other people other than Rosen students existed. So
Yeah.
that was sort of shame on me. But it was a really cool class. So like, back to sort of tie that up. This is a really cool class if you're interested in teaching, because the business of teaching is a lot more difficult than I even understood it to
Oh
be.
yeah. Yeah.
Like, I never would have thought of some of the concepts of just like making sure everyone is accommodated, like learning style, and making sure the rubrics are laid out correctly, and
Right.
making sure the work it's just so much work behind the scenes that I didn't even understand. I didn't know anything about.
Right.
Also, another thing that I kind of got upset about was there were so many teachers in the class
Yeah.
that were already teachers,
And we had
and
never.
Carson, oh, we can both sort of agree, but I'm like, this is for people who want to be teachers. You're not allowed. I mean, they were great resources, but I did feel like I was a little like, I'm trying, but you obviously know because you're a teacher now. But
In that situation, we were the kids who didn't know anything.
I was the kid who had no clue what was happening, and the teachers were probably like, these are stupid people, and that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Um, it was really great. I didn't ever think about all the backstage. Oh, here I am with entertainment terminology. All the backstage, the nonsense that has to happen before you can actually have a class.
I was gonna
So
say
that was
behind the
really
scenes, but behind the scenes is like also entertainment.
yeah, I don't know what
Look,
to say.
it's entrenched in our brains. We can't do anything about it.
It
Okay?
is.
So the other thing I want to talk about real quick, because you got to get to the airport to pick up your buddy.
Yeah.
So themed entertainment, theme parks, it's so much about rides, shows, sometimes not even. I'm going to say it's about rides. It's about rides and roller coasters. The other half of that is live entertainment, and especially the thing that doesn't get covered is live events. And we're two people who have performed, coordinated, produced, and I don't know what you've done in some of your side gigs. These like mega events, that are sometimes, depending on how much money they have, on par with like, Disney level stuff, Universal level stuff. It's even events through Disney and Universal that are genuine, like one of a kind, sometimes $1 million events, which is wild.
Multi-million.
Yeah.
$1 million is very nice of you. Some companies come and they bring their highest sellers, or they're here for a while and they want to make an impression, and so they do crazy events. That's very standard.
Yeah. Full shows. I've seen like full like fabricated set pieces and special lighting and special sound and special video and all that stuff. And it's something I guess for people who, especially now, maybe are disheartened about, like I want to work in the parks, like how do I work in the park? And doing events is a viable option, alternative to that, I think, that a lot of people don't know about. But
or events anywhere. I think people are very like have blinders on almost because they think this only exists in a theme park.
Right.
But it's so much more than that. That every single company has an events team.
Yeah.
Every company. I mean, software company A has an events team that does cool events for their software people. Like release parties, opening, whatever. They have these people that exist outside of the quote unquote entertainment that you're thinking, like
Yeah.
Disney or Universal or whatever. It's understanding that other companies have that and you can also seek that out as well. And that's not looked down upon. And that, again, there's me about, staying with Disney. I want to stay with Disney. I only want to do Disney. I love Disney. But these opportunities exist outside as well,
Mhm.
and I didn't know that for a long time, and I didn't want to look for them because I wanted to stay at Disney, which is great, and if you
Right.
do, then that's great as well. But that these do exist in software companies, in, construction companies,
Mhm.
in companies that you have no idea. Like, how can a construction company have an events team? All right, well, they just, opened up a new bridge and they have some sort of ribbon cutting for, whatever. Like
Yeah.
every industry will have some sort of special events team, and it's looking for and understanding that, and not again, not closing yourself off by only looking in those specifically entertainment companies.
Right. And you'd be hard pressed to find a hotel in Orlando that doesn't have a convention space for events
Oh,
like that.
correct.
Hundreds.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, hotel is those people who come into the hotels are there for events, for weddings, for conventions, I mean, that space is gotta be doing something to make money, so,
Yeah.
the again, just not selling yourself short of, "I have to work at an entertainment company," because you can do that in another one.
Right. Yeah. Just wanted to hop on a little soapbox there because I think people
Yeah,
they overlook live events. They overlook live entertainment. So two
yeah.
people who have been there in the trench, we're letting you know it's a
Oh,
viable alternative.
that's true.
Anyway, typically when I have people on the podcast, I ask them a couple questions. However, you and I are so like-minded. Every question I was going to ask you, you've answered throughout the course of this podcast. I'm dead serious.
Great.
Seriously. Seriously. And you like things that I bring up all the time. You've brought up again today in your own special Chris Elkins spin, which is great.
Oh, great.
The only question I'll ask you is, do you have any particular resources? And it sounds like you've established yourself as a resource with that Facebook page and posting jobs all the time. Do you have any favorite resources and or like books, websites, anything like that you look to?
Not that I mean, it's so hard. I mean, I do like to stay very active on LinkedIn. I
Yeah.
try to, even though you have a job and you might love it, it's still something that you can involve yourself in different circles and sort
Mm-hmm.
of um, follow people who are not gonna post random things on face. It's just a different, whatever. I'm being nice about it,
A
but
more
like
helpful Facebook.
more helpful, exactly. So, like, I do try to be very active, and by very, I mean, like, now I try to post once a week or so,
Right.
but just interact with people on LinkedIn. I think that's definitely been beneficial. I mean, I got offered my Tesla job on LinkedIn. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
straight up. Being active on LinkedIn, and I mean, they're gonna look at your social media regardless, and everyone should know that. But it literally came down to, like, what I was posting on LinkedIn, and they're like, "Hey, you would be great for this role at Tesla." And I said, "Tell me about it." And now I work there.
Yeah.
So, like, if that doesn't help at all. Um, I think I mean, obviously right now people have time, so reaching out to your contacts. Um, there was actually people in our, uh, uh, future, what is it called again?
PTF,
Future
preparing tomorrow's faculty.
Okay, preparing tomorrow's faculty. Um, so in that class that I've actually been working, like, I had one-on-ones with people in that class that we've actually had a lot of things in common and
Mhm.
like realized that there's more people in your reach than you think. I think that
Yeah.
also helps with LinkedIn as well. But people have this time on their hands, and I would say genuinely people really want to help each other.
Mhm.
So understanding that they want to help you and coming at it from a nice way, but reaching out right now is sort of like there's no rules about it.
Sure.
And you can sort of talk to anyone that you want to and make it happen, which I always was so uncomfortable with because I don't know how to like initiate like,
Yeah.
"Hey, can I talk to you about what I wanna do with my life?" It's just so weird, but, like, now it's like, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
all rules are, like, gone, and there's no you don't even have to worry about it. So,
Exactly.
what I really look to, I guess, is more like connections now and seeing I mean, LinkedIn shows you those connections, but
Right.
talking to people and, again, professors at UCF. I was talking to a few professors at UCF when I was like, "Hey, I'm going to this class. You gotta anything open because I'm trying to come in there." Keeping in touch with the advisors and stuff there and building your own personal network. So, I mean, I'm always here. If any of you listening want to connect with me, totally you can.
Yeah.
I'm on LinkedIn at it's Chris Elkins. Everything's it's Chris Elkins. Yes, Chris Elkins. Um, but you can totally add me on LinkedIn and pick my brain about anything. And I encourage you to also help your other coworker if they reach out to you. So here's the deal. You can reach out to me and I will happily help, but you also have to help when someone reaches out. That's going to be the deal.
Good deal. Good deal.
Um,
I love it, man.
yeah.
I miss talking to you. I miss working alongside you. You've been a great friend all these years. We had a lot of fun back in the days, didn't we?
Oh my gosh. I know. So good. It's gonna be better. It's gonna get better. It's
Yeah.
getting better. Everything's good, but it's gonna be a rough. It's gonna be a rough year. Like people, I think I sort of laughed when people were like, "Oh, 2021, like we're gonna be gone." I'm like, January 1st. It's not just like a magic wand that's gonna come over. Like we still have a lot to do. I mean, it is very helpful. Things are moving nicely. We got vaccines going out. Like things are coming back and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's still going to be a long, hard road. And don't let anyone else say anything different because if they do, they're lying. It is going to be incredibly difficult. And I don't think that we'll see any sort of numbers in business that we were seeing, January, February of 2020 for another 2 years
Mm-hmm.
easily. We'll get there. We will get there. It will still take incredible amounts of time.
Yeah.
So another like be resilient and don't give up and do what you can in this time to make sure you're getting everything you possibly skills and learning and doing what you can to make it, and we'll get there. It'll take time. We'll get there.
Yeah. Great hopeful message to end the podcast on. Appreciate it.
There you go.
Chris, brother, thank you so much for coming on. Love the insight.
Hey, thank you. This is great. You're great. This is great. I love this. This is so cool.
I know you found a new thing to do.
Oh my gosh.
All right, everybody. Thanks again. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. And Happy New Year if it's not too late. It's February, but Happy New Year. It'll get better. Boom. See ya. Thank you so much for listening to Theme Park School, a themed experience educational podcast. Have a question about the podcast or themed experience in general? Be sure to reach out to us at themeparkschoolpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at Theme Park School Podcast for book recommendations, helpful resources, and more. Theme Park School, a themed experience educational podcast, is not affiliated with any theme park, design firm, university, or trade organization. Views expressed are those of the host and the guests.